Leaders need to plan and have a strategy. In this module, you're going to learn how to develop a roadmap for every year as you're a leader. Armed with this tool, armed with this process that I'm going to share with you, you're going to ensure that your team focuses on the right priorities and accomplishes better results. Look, a lot of leaders don't do this. I've seen it throughout my career, whether it's in the corporate world, I was again in car rental, I've been in IT, I've been in education, real estate, I've did consulting and coaching with many people. They don't plan a full roadmap out. They don't really plan ahead. They might set targets for themselves and their businesses and their teams, but they don't actually plan of how they're going to get there. It's not all aligned. So you need to reflect on the progress that you've made at the end of every year, but also get ready for what's coming next. So I'm going to share with you some of the items that you need to kind of check off to kind of know to make sure that you're developing a roadmap that's not only achievable, but that's inspiring, that can get your people aligned and excited to move forward. So first, let's look at this as though this is the end of the year. You're at the end of the year, you have to start doing one thing first. You got to review what happened. The only way you can know where to take the company, take your team, take your business, is to know what you've done. Have you achieved the goals that you were sought out to do? Have you moved forward on certain initiatives that are game-changing? So do a review. Ask yourself, did your team accomplish everything it set out to achieve? Did everything go to plan? Probably not. If things didn't work out as expected, did you course correct? For some teams and organizations, was there even a plan? You have to reflect on where you're at as a leader personally. I think as leaders and individual contributors, we have to be asking ourselves constantly and evaluating ourselves constantly to determine how are we doing. Having those recap conversations with folks. Everyone needs to know whether it was a good year or not. And provided that you have the right one-on-one conversations throughout the course of the year, no one should ever be surprised about knowing how the year ended. I always say that people should maintain success trackers. It's a simple concept that I cover more in my Achieve More planner that's available on Amazon, but it is super easy to ultimately start to track your wins, to see how you're doing, how you're handling the things that pop up through the course of the year. Are you driving the right initiatives that move the needle? So keep track of your accomplishments, because when you do, that gives you the motivation, the insight to ultimately decide what you're going to do next, which I consider to be a really critical leadership task for any game-changing leader to really master. You have to think about those investments in the future, the initiatives that you want to go after. But if you know that some of the success that you've had before and you can apply the lessons learned, you can ultimately have even a better year, make every year your best year ever. So it's important, I think, then to decide what have you done, but now what do you want to do? So I always suggest that you should theme your year. What's the theme for the year ahead? You could look at it as a year. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's on a quarterly basis. But how do you describe what you want to achieve? What do you want the team or business to accomplish? In a few words, can you summarize the strategy to a team? Can you align them all on the same core purpose? Think of a theme as a unifying way to tie all your initiatives that you're going to do together before even building your roadmap. Throughout my career, I've used a number of different themes. And again, I do my themes based on a year, but I've done themes such as break down the walls in an effort to try and improve collaboration within a business. Smarter, not harder, so I could focus on being more effective and efficient as a team. Even though this course talks about being a game changer, I've had a season where I actually, had game changers as my theme. We're just going to come up with really innovative and new techniques, ultimately on the quest to ultimately win. I've talked about people making the difference. I've talked about focusing on small wins, going all in, and trying to win as well, and just leaving it all out there. So find a theme that works for you. The best thing you could possibly do is actually pull some of your team together, or your entire team, to figure out what is that theme that you want to tackle as you move forward. And then it becomes about trying to unify your efforts, starting to build up a list of ideas and roadmap ideas. Brainstorm what you want to accomplish. I've always suggested doing this with your team. or with people who can help influence your team. You should never build a roadmap completely on your own as a leader, because there are people who are doing the work, who are closer to the work, are your customers, other employees, other teams, who know better than you. But use your theme as a guide. Even if an idea suggested is not really feasible in the mid to short term, make note of it. Perhaps it's a bigger project for another year or later on down the road, or it can be rolled into a bigger project, or maybe it's something you just want to keep in your back pocket. It's one thing to probably list a bunch of ideas of things that you want to tackle, but you have to see what's actually feasible or not. The other thing you want to do at this time as you're starting to try to come up with a list of things to do is, are there things that you need to stop doing? Are there things that you've been doing and they just don't provide the value, but that if you stop them, it's going to open up more capacity on your team to tackle the new initiatives that are going to really be more beneficial? You want to ultimately, work together with other relevant leaders if you have them in your business as well, to confirm directionally that you're working on the right things so that everyone is aligned. If there is, let's use the Department of IT. If you have an IT department within your organization, connect with them on your roadmap ideas to see if they're even feasible. I made this mistake a few times throughout my career where I'd come up with all these game-changing ideas of how I wanted to move my team forward without initially connecting with IT to see if even it can be done in the time frame I'm looking for the budget that I'm looking for. So it's important to connect with the leaders to make sure that you're on the same page, because there could be overlapping priorities, things that conflict with what you're wanting to do. So then it comes down to putting the roadmap together. You've now gone through, you've had your conversations, you know the things that you want to tackle as a leader, as part of your overarching strategy that aligns with your theme. Well, put all of these now into 4 buckets. I always advocate in putting it into a similar version to what I have here, in the sense that it's operations is 1 bucket. Include items that maybe help stabilize or support your team's efforts. Maybe it's projects that help drive for some continuous improvement and some change. I then also do initiatives for the employee experience. A lot of people forget this as a leader, but this is stuff about investing in your team, maybe personal professional development, celebrating some successes, finding ways to drive engagement. Those have to be initiatives that are planned throughout the year. We're all in the business of supporting customers in one way, form, or not. So why not also do something with regards to customer experience? Make sure you have a category reserved for projects that are going to improve the customer experience, to make it better, make it more effective. The last category, and is a simple one to overlook for some, is what are the projects that are going to help drive revenue? List the specific types of initiatives that are going to drive more money coming in. Because it's not only important, it's essential for the lifeblood of your business. And whether your team directly attaches revenue or not, it does have a connection to revenue in some way, shape, or form. It's not just the sales team that focuses on revenue. So take all the initiatives noted and place them visually into these categories, and use what I call a swim lane approach. Then I break the whole year out into quarters, Q1 through Q4, to give some structure of when that particular action, initiative, project is going to be tackled. It makes it so much easier. If you've got enough space, you could turn it just into a monthly view and say January all the way through to December. Here's when you're going to tackle everything within your specific month. But have these roadmap and then share it with your team. Be super transparent about everything that you're going to actually work towards. 1, it's going to get people excited. 2, it's going to give them clarity on where you're going, what you're doing. 3, you're also maybe able to get some volunteers. People who want to throw up their hand to say, hey, I want to be part of that initiative. I'd like to help. I've got some ideas. I can help make it better. When you're transparent, you're actually going to move faster, quicker than ever before, than trying to hide everything back and only release things slowly at a time. Because everybody wants to be part of a team that demonstrates change, that shows progress. It's demotivating when things don't change. It's frustrating when team members are surprised by new initiatives or things that get rolled out. They're sometimes caught off guard. They're sometimes frustrated. But if you can work on a roadmap together as a leader, you gain not only credibility, you reduce the chaos because you're showing your cards in plain sight. Develop the roadmap together with your team. It's fun and it's engaging. And once complete, it's pretty cool to go back and take a look and say, hey, look at all that we accomplished. Guaranteed, yes, there are going to be things that are going to pop up that are not part of the roadmap. That's just how business works. But when you have a loose plan and structure, it's going to make everyone feel like, hey, there's actually somebody at the helm here who knows what they're doing. You'll make course corrections along the way, but from an engagement perspective, you're going to have people who are more bought in, more aligned, happier as a result, and it's going to give them opportunities to grow. When they grow, when they succeed, that's when you're going to succeed as a leader. Lastly, celebrate those accomplishments that you do have. When you get an initiative off the ground and it's successful and it's complete, make sure you celebrate that milestone. Good luck with building your roadmap.